Namaskar friends, this is Shekhar Mayanil here again with a brand new episode for Yogic-Neurosciences in Hanuman Chalisa, which is basically the 12th episode. I'm still working on the Sitaji's and Hanumanji's interaction, how Hanumanji is related to which aspect of the Ram Doot he is going to play as far as our body is concerned. So uh, before I start this, I would like to seek the blessings of Ganeshji, and of course, ultimate blessings is from my Gurudev, who is my breath, Hanumanji Maharaj. So let's begin. So this particular episode happens to be a question answer session, basically. One friend of mine asked a very beautiful question, and that is, how is Hanumanji seeing Ram Aayudh in front of Vibhishan's house has to do with our immunity. So he's asking, what is the relevance of Shankha Chakra and Tulsi plant in strengthening immunity? Okay. So what is happening is, let me minimize myself here. So he says, after watching your videos on Yogic-Neurosciences in Hanuman Chalisa, I got deeply interested in knowing more about our Bharatiya scriptures and developed a renewed respect for the rishis, which are the subjective scientists. Okay, so we in the West we do objective science, whereas rishis did subjective science, and they had evolved that science to such an incredible level that now the objective scientists are trying to figure out what did they knew. So that's what is happening. So he said that you already told us what is the role of mace, the gada, in strengthening the immune system in the form of dendritic cells inside the lymph gland. He said, could you please elaborate more on the Ram Aayudh? Ram Aayudh means those uh, signature, the signs on Vibhishan's house, in front of Vibhishan's house, and what role Shankha, conch, or the Chakra, wheel, and the Tulsi plant plays in strengthening immunity. What a beautiful question. I really love this question. So let us dwell in one by one. So the Shankha represents sound. The Om, Om, Om. Actually, the M pronunciation, which means the pronunciation of Om when you close the lips, it represents the Advait, which means non-dual Brahman. So when you are chanting the non-dual Brahman, you almost acquire the qualities of, or that sound itself is the strength in the Om. The entire Om, the biggest strength is in the M pronunciation. So in Bhramari Pranayam also the same thing. You only chant Om by closing your mouth. So this is uh, the scientific article, published article in a very strong, good journal, Consciousness and Cognition. Okay, so I got it much before it got published in 2008 by the author himself. So this is how it was. So what it does is it increases the EEG, paroxysmal gamma waves, which is the origin of this wave is basolateral amygdala and hippocampus. So what it does is basically it helps in this particular kind of a breathing technique, helps in eradication or extinction of fear. Okay, and the place where this whole area, the area where it gets activated, the brain area which gets activated upon chanting of Brahmari, or upon chanting Om, or even doing Brahmari Pranayam, is this particular area, which is a I would say medial temporal area, basically. Okay, middle temporal gyri. So this is the area which gets activated as mentioned in the previous paper. Okay, there is another very important paper which was published in from Japanese lab, and they said that that there is a lot of healing role of Brahmari pranayama. And in the same paper, they talked about different levels of nitric oxide which is produced. So in the humming, the bee humming or the primary humming, you find so much higher level of nitric oxide produced. Whereas without the humming, the nitric oxide level is a very basal level. So, and here the another American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine had talked about humming greatly increases nitric oxide levels. So, and there is a 15-fold increase during humming versus quiet exhalation. So this is humming means that type of which is basically a Brahmari. So nitric oxide is produced in three different cells in our body. One is the endothelial cell, which is if this is a blood vessel, so the lining that is in touch with the blood is the endothelial cell. So it produces a lot of nitric oxide here. Macrophages, another places where these macrophages can engulf whatever pathogens or anything that has escaped our notice somehow, and they gain entry into the bloodstream. The macrophages then damage them. So that is produced in large quantity in macrophages. And in vitro studies have shown that if you take very low quantity of nitric oxide in a petri dish where bacteria is growing, it immediately the bacteria immediately dies. So neurons is another place where nitric oxide is released. So this is a neurotransmitter actually. In neurons, it is in the brain, it acts like a neurotransmitter. In the endothelial cells, it acts like a vasodilator, and in the immune cell, it acts like a that which kills all the pathogens. So that this is three different roles that nitric oxide has, and it is produced in response to Brahmari. Another nitric oxide is in the acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus. Nitric oxide inhibits the replication of this virus in our system. And that's why it was so important to actually this paper comes from Sweden, and in the Journal of Virology, one of the very top journals in virology field. So this was the one which we had discussed earlier as to how Brahmari pranayam can help us not get infected with coronavirus, or even if coronavirus somehow gain access, it won't multiply in our system because of nitric oxide release. Here, see the humming increases the endogenous generation of nitric oxide 15-fold. 15-fold is quite a lot, but it should not be done too much because then it has a law of diminishing return that happens. So I suggest one should do only 5 times every day. That's perfectly fine with it. Not too much. Not too much of too much of anything is no good. Okay. So the role of nitric oxide in immunity. This is a very good paper that we got, and it says that nitric oxide has a tremendous role in immunity. This is a very detailed journal article, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but just to let you know that it is important for immunity, and that comes from sound. The shankha is representing sound for us, and that sound sound is the one which causes this nitric oxide, which has tremendous role in immunity. Now the shankha, now the chakra. Let's talk about the chakra. Chakra, when Vibhishan displays chakra, or Ram Aayudh, Rama chakra is one of the Rama. Chakra means wheel. So what all wheels are there in our body? There are several wheels in our body. So this is one of the chakras is all these different chakra: Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anhat chakra, Vishuddhi chakra, Ajna chakra, Bindu chakra, and Sahasra chakra. This is just few of them, but there are 108 different minor chakras all over our body. So chakra is basically the wheel, or you could say, also you could say, activation of all this chakra can help. In fact, can and not can, does help immunity, because what it does is it shifts our sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system mode. So when parasympathetic nervous system mode happens, then all these chakras are activated actually, or activation of all these chakra puts us into parasympathetic mode, and that's the reason why we do not get sick or because of our enhanced immunity. Another chakra representation means Kriya breathing in Kriya Yoga. In Kriya Yoga, what happens is you breathe as if you're breathing it from the back of your spine and all the way to the top of your head, and then exhale from the front. So this particular chakra, which is basically chakra means a, a, a virtual chakra kept made by our breath itself. So just visualize that you're breathing as if from the base of your spine, back all the way to the top of your head, and exhale from front all the way to the base of your spine. So this particular chakra is also represented as a Ram Aayudh because it represents one of the key elements in activating all the chakras in Kriya Yoga. And of course, I talked about the yogic breathing in Hanuman Chalisa, or I call it Chalisa breathing, right? Chalisa breathing is a chakra also. So what you do is you inhale, hold, exhale, hold. So this particular repetition goes on, and that can also represent a chakra. This whole thing is a chakra actually. So you keep breathing like that, and obviously you will get benefited out of it. Okay. Now the Tulsi plant. What is Tulsi plant represent? Tulsi plant's botanical name is Ocimum sanctum. Okay. So this particular Tulsi plant is very, very important for this particular review art talks about Tulsi plant for all seasons, reasons. So it is one of those Ayurvedic plant which has immense scientific benefit. Not a single part of the Tulsi plant is not used in Ayurveda. Everything from the inflorescence to the seeds, to the leaf, to the stem, to the root, to everything, it is used. And actually, what has happened is in our lab, we have done in vitro studies in which three main ingredients we isolated in Tulsi leaves, right? And we identified that with GC mass spectrometry, and we showed that those three things in combination can reverse neural crest derived cancers. Now, what are the neural crest derived cancers? One of them is melanoma, right? And another one is oligodendroglioma. All gliomas are neural crest derived tumors. So, right? So that actually can be reversed. Actually, not only it does not kill, it reverses the phenotype. So if a cancer cell is basically coming from original normal cell, right, it became cancer. So if you put the Tulsi plant, it can reverse it rather than killing it. So what it does work through epigenetic mechanism. So this particular paper I was talking about, this is our paper in 2019, published in Stem Cells, which is a very high citation index paper. And Ocimum sanctum hydrophilic fraction treatment not only blocks the folate-mediated de-differentiation of glial cells, but also promotes redifferentiation of the differentiated glial cells. So the glial cells, normal glial cells, it can be made to become tumorigenic by putting in folate-rich medium, right? So if you put too much folate, it can become tumorigenic. So those tumorigenic cells can continue multiply forever. So, but if you put Tulsi extract, this particular hydrophilic fraction that I'm talking about, it can reverse the 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 tumorigenicity. So from de-differentiation to again back to differentiation. So that is the beauty of this particular Tulsi fraction. So it helps. It helps not only in immunity, in strengthening immunity, but also in reversing the tumors. So thank you so much for your kind attention, and I'm really thankful to that gentleman in New Jersey who has asked me this question, he has asked me not to reveal his name, but so I would not reveal your name. So, but I'm really, really thankful to you that you gave me an opportunity to clarify still further. And I'm looking forward to another question. Actually, there is one more question which I will deal next week or next in my next episode. However, bear in mind that I am not forgotten that the interaction between Hanumanji and Sitaji. So Hanumanji is over there. What type of a role he is playing? And Sitaji is the blood supply of our system. So how does blood supply in the brain? Uh, how Hanumanji or what role he plays in our brain when it comes to um, interacting with blood supply or cardiovascular system. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. See you next time.